Hello guys and welcome, it is ThatSrb2DUDE here today bringing you yet another Splatoon 2 video. Now as you can see in my hands, I am holding the new Ballpoint Splatling, which is a new Splatling in the Splatlings category. It's kind of saying Splatling like 3 times there, but it's all good. But anyways, today's video I want to do a comparison from this Splatling compared to the other Splatlings, how I guess it outranges pretty much all the other Splatlings, how it kind of fares, and how it, I guess the mechanics of the weapon, and what's different about it compared to the other Splatlings. So, let me start off with the mini Splatling. Before I even use the ballpoint, I'm just going to show you, I guess, the mini Splatling's range and stuff like that, because the Ballpoint Splatling has a couple similarities to this particular Splatling and another Splatling, which would be the Hydra Splatling as well. So first of all, let's talk about mobility with the mini Splatling compared to the Ballpoint. Now, the first thing I noticed when using the Ballpoint is that the mobility when you're holding a charge and strafing is a lot faster than the mini Splatling. As you can see here, this is me moving with the mini Splatling, and I'm going to show you as well with myself moving with the ballpoint. As you can see, strafing while holding a charge is much faster. And it's pretty insane, like how much faster it is. Now, with the ballpoint Splatling, this is something you really need to remember. So, as you do a full charge, if you notice the first quarter of the second circle, this allows you to shoot in the mini Splatling range, basically. Just see that? Just notice how my crosshair is changing as it gets to the first quarter. It's shooting at basically mini Splatling range. Now, the thing is, with the first quarter of the, I guess, the second charge, with the Ballpoint Splatling, it's not technically at mini Splatling range. It's just before it. As you can see, this is me shooting with the mini, I guess it's mini Splatling technical range, but it's not completely at the same range as the mini Splatling. If I was to switch to the mini Splatling right here, you can't really see where the ink is going, but basically, if I was to stand here with the mini Splatling, shoot, I should be able to get a couple shots with that. And if I was to switch to ballpoint, I don't think I'll be able to shoot it until I get, of course, until my furthest range comes out. As you see right there, it doesn't even hit it. And there's also another thing to mention as well, is that when you're shooting at mini Splatling range, or technical mini Splatling range that isn't completely as far as the mini Splatling, there's a lot more, I guess, weapon spread compared to the mini Splatling. The weapons are more likely to go out more randomly. If I was to, if I was to change to the mini Splatling, as you can see, the weapon spreads a little bit together. So bullets are more likely to go where you actually tend to shoot the mini Splatling and stuff. Now let's compare the painting power with the mini Splatling and the ballpoint's lower range, in quotation. So as you can see, this is me shooting with the mini Splatling. As you can see, it paints quite a bit, and the range of it goes pretty far. Much further than, I guess, the ballpoint Splatling in that case. Now I'm going to switch to the ballpoint. If I can just get it out right here. So here we go. I'm going to use the ballpoint now. And as you can see straight away, it does not go as far. Now just remember, as I'm showing you, it has to be the first quarter of the second circle. Now that's pretty much everything to do with the comparison with the Ballpoint Splatling and the mini Splatling. Now I want to show you the Hydra Splatling, or I guess how this weapon compares. So we already knew that the Hydra Splatling had the furthest range, or the most range out of all the Splatling weapons. So from testing these two weapons out with the Hydra Splatling's longest range and the Ballpoint Splatling's longest range, it seems like both of the weapons have the same amount of killing range, except with the Hydra having a little bit more suppression compared to the Ballpoint. So it's going to be a thing where, if I was to stand right here, the Hydra Splatling is more likely to get more suppressive hits. Right there. And if I was to use the Ballpoint, on the other hand, it may do exactly the same thing. It just has a little bit more consistency to, I guess, the longest range hits. But they both have the same range, just to show you. I want to show you again I guess, the painting range. So this is going to be the Ballpoint Splatlings one. There you go. And I'm also going to change to the Hydra. So this is going to be the Hydra Splatling's longest range. There's a lot more suppressive hits or suppressive shots compared to the Ballpoint. So it's going to seem like the Hydra Splatling has a little bit more suppression, or I guess a little bit more painting range compared to the Ballpoint. So, I mean, you guys can do whatever you want with that information, but it's not that much like of a difference right here. Like, I'm going to just say straight up, both of them have the same range at its longest range, or however you want to say it. But the Hydra Splatling overall just has a little bit better, doesn't have better fall off. I wouldn't say that, because the Ballpoint has better consistent shots at range, but the Hydra does a little bit more suppression, and majority of its shots become damage fall off anyway. So that is pretty much the difference between the Hydra Splatling's range and the Ballpoint's range. It's not too much of a difference, other than the Ballpoint having more consistent shots and much better accuracy, and the Hydra Splatling having more suppression than accuracy. But all in all, they both can do the exact same thing. Now, just because the Heavy Splatling is here, we might as well compare it. So as we know, this is what the Heavy Splatling is capable of doing. It's able to shoot pretty far for a Splatling weapon. But straight up, the Ballpoint Splatling outranges it completely. Just like that. Of course, the Heavy Splatling is going to have more suppression with it, so that's why I guess the ink looked a little bit thicker like this. But the Ballpoint has much more accuracy than it, and it's going to have a lot more consistent shots at range. So the Ballpoint definitely outranges the Heavy Splatling by far. It's just like, I mean, Hydra Splatling range. It's kind of like a Hydra Splatling that does 4 shots, but has very, very good movement. If you guys want to, I guess, generalize how the Ballpoint Splatling is. So pretty much that's the comparisons between the Mini Splatling, Hydra Splatling, and Heavy Splatling. Now let's just talk about the Ballpoint Splatling for a second, just to show you guys what you can really do with it. So now I'm just going to refresh you guys on what you can do with the Ballpoint Splatling. It's a pretty interesting weapon, so here we go. So as I told you before, the first quarter of the second circle that you recharge, or that you basically charge up, is going to be basically its Mini Splatling mode. That's not as, or that doesn't shoot as much as a Mini Splatling. So what you can kind of do when you're running around and you're just trying to ink a little bit, you can just continue to recharge it each time, and then you can just get a bunch of paint on the floor. You really gotta be careful and watch your ink tank though, just because as you're recharging it over and over and over again, you're gonna, I guess, run out of ink pretty fast. But as you can see, just from one full tank, this is the amount of ink I was able to produce. So just from here to all the way over here, using its, I guess, its Mini Splatling painting turret mode, or whatever you want to call it. So, let me just show you guys that again, because it does paint quite a bit. So as you can see, the first quarter of the second circle is the thing that you really gotta watch out for. But as you can see, this thing paints so much. Paints a lot. And now another good tip with it is when you're using its long range mode. Now, you can continue to recharge the long range mode. I say once you're, I guess, if you're trying to use the long range mode solely, just use the first circle. It's a lot easier to remember that, I guess. Just when you just want to shoot targets from range, just use the first circle in general. And then you can get a lot of consistent shots from that. Now, this is something you really need to remember when you don't fully charge this weapon. Now, as you can see, if I don't fully charge it, you'll notice that I'm doing Mini Splatling range, or less than Mini Splatling range. Let's call it that for now. Now, the reason of this is because it depends on how much you charge. So if I charge this much, basically it's gonna be the first quarter that gets depleted of this. But as you see, if I continue to charge it, and if I get to the first quarter of the second circle, then it's always gonna be that. But everything else will be its longest range. But if you can continue to charge it to its first quarter, or the first quarter of the second circle, then it will be Mini Splatling range. Or less than Mini Splatling range, however you want to call it. Now, straight up, the Ballpoint Splatling has a lot of interesting mechanics with it being able to recharge anytime it wants, with it being able to shoot at short range and then continue to long range, with also you knowing when you can shoot long range and short range depending on how it charges. and always being able to use the long range mode whenever you want as well. Just being, I guess, wary of how much you're charging as well. But other than that, it's a really interesting weapon. I feel like it can be rated pretty high. The weapon paints a bunch if you're using, I guess, the mechanics right or correctly. And has a lot of great mobility, so it's kind of a thing where I would say I'll rate higher, a little bit higher than the Hydra Splatling, in a sense. Just because of the amount of mobility you do get, because the kit's also good as well, and the amount of paint that you can put down as well. But pretty much, that is all I pretty much got to say about the Ballpoint Splatling. I've already used it on stream last night. Really fun to use. Not too sure how it's gonna fit in, I guess, in competitive. It's probably gonna be a thing where it's like a mix of backline and I guess a mix of midline, how majority of rapid pros play, and it also comes with an inkjet, so it's gonna be a really interesting weapon. I'm looking forward to see what people can do with it, and you know, that's pretty much all I really gotta say. Really, I like this weapon a lot, so that's all I gotta say, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. As always, guys, this has been ThatSrb2DUDE, and I shall see you guys in a future video.